All right. Good morning and welcome back to another episode of What the Fuck Did I Just Read? Tech Sales and Marketing Vision. Good morning, Maria and Chris. How are you?
Hi, fam. I'm great.
Good morning. I'm waking up. I got nailed last night with the glucose monitor went a little crazy on me last night. My own stupid fault. I had snacks, so I should not have late night snacks. I had the munchies, had the wrong stuff, so I'm suffering for it this morning. It went off a few times last night apparently. So, needless to say,
But was it worth it? Was it delicious?
No, I mean, it kind of was at the time, but no, it's not worth it. Not at the moment, I tell you. That ain't going to happen again. Kind of went off the rails, like you do.
Oh, well, Maria, you're looking spruced up today. I love your haircut. Looking beautiful as always.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was not hair washing day, so what I did was I exercised and then I just blew dry the nastiness right in there and went like this. So
That's the best. The best.
That's what you guys get from me today.
Love it.
Oh my goodness. Hilarious. Okay, well, we have a lot of ground to cover today. For those of you who are new to the show, please, by all means, drop your comments and questions in the chat. We will address that. For our veterans, you know the drill. Same thing. If you want to come on live on the show, please let us know, and we'll bring you on to ask any questions that you have. And then we'll, go down that rabbit hole and have a discussion. I want to cover a few things today. One, we're going to go through the shit list, and we'll talk about any what the fuck moments that we've had. We've had quite a few this week. And then I want to talk about content. We talked about on our internal chat, having a discussion about what kind of content resonates with you, and not just content on websites or content in LinkedIn, but specific assets and artifacts that help you do your job better. Because when I have conversations with CISOs and with other security practitioners, they often tell me, well, with regards to content, teach me something new. Well, that's a broad statement, and that's easy to say, but it's hard to do. And so what does that look like, right? And what kind of assets can I go create so that I can arm Maria, right? And I can arm other account executives and SDRs so that they can come to you, Chris, right? Or other security practitioners and help you do your job better and teach you something new, right? So I want to go through some lines of questions there and get your feedback and input on that. How does that sound?
Loving it.
Cool.
2 thumbs up.
Coolio. All right. Maria, do we want to do the WTF moment?
Yeah, I'll do mine. Now, mine are different, obviously, because I'm on the sales side. But at the beginning of the year, I always get a lot of text messages or emails or messages around new sales tools or things that'll automate other things, or companies that can set meetings for me at the velocity of like a couple hundred a week, blah, blah, blah. Well, I got one yesterday that says, Capital Grill has the best surf and turf. Ruth's Chris seasoning is hard to beat. STK is killing it with a modern vibe. Fogo de Chao wins for creativity with fruit. Morton's is a classic with great service. Which one am I going to be sending you to? And this made me mad because I don't even know what this person does. So I don't even know what you're trying. Like, I don't even know what you're doing. They didn't respond to the last message that they had sent. So there was no context. So I looked up this person and found the original message, but like, you should respond to the original. Like, I deleted that. So I don't even know now what this random steakhouse thing is all about. And also I got bad blood work back. So I can't eat red meat at the moment. So now I'm really triggered because I got this and opened it up while I was eating my like 15th piece of cod for the last 3 weeks. And so I was like really annoyed by the whole thing. And so I think the 2 things on this one, if you're going to be cold emailing, I know it's a necessary evil. There's a right way and a wrong way to do it. But one of the tips is don't send a random thing about steak without the original email below it, so that we can at least, because maybe I wanted to go get food, which maybe that was going to work. I don't know, but I have no idea what you're even trying to sell me in the first place. So the context was lost. And I would never even look for the original email had it not been that I was going to send it to Danny and Chris to say, what the F? This is silly. I don't even know what this is about. So pro tip, if you're going to do it, at least attach it to the original note so I know what the heck you're talking about. That was mine. It made me mad.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
yeah.
Go for it, Chris.
Yeah, I'll follow on the same like gift thing. I brought one up that came in yesterday, and it's a graphic. It's a bunch of graphics, which first and foremost typically don't get through most of my filters. But this one starts off with choose your gift. Attendees will receive one of these thank you gifts. A 4-pack Make Bluetooth tracker. So great, we can go track people. Yay. Wireless charging stands, wireless audio transmission, or Bluetooth speakers. And it's another one of these. Security is not a journey. It is a journey, not a destination. Join the company and apparently another company to learn the 5 steps to zero trust with your licenses. It's
so is that like
there's.
Do you need that? First of all, you don't need the gift, but with regards to the knowledge, and this is going to drill down into the conversation or apply to the conversation later, but a topic like that, does that actually help you?
No, it really doesn't. It's another one. It's buzzword bingo. And that's, I think, the frustration on some of this stuff. It's you throw stuff out there without understanding, your audience. First and foremost, the zero trust thing has been beaten to death for longer than I think we really care to hear about it. Especially everybody's got their own definition of exactly what it is and what it should be and what they feel like it needs to be versus actually what it is in the spirit of the right thing, which is very, very different. If you actually talk to the gentleman that actually started the whole thing off, it's a very, very different philosophy than most of these people are chasing after. Secondly, the bonus to select one of 3 must-have cool travel gadgets. First and foremost, there's 4 travel gadgets. There's not 3 travel gadgets, dear cloud security service company. Back to that thing. If I want a free gift, I'm going to bloody well choose it myself. And first of all, I don't want a free gift. I will buy my own travel stuff. I will buy my own charging stands, trackers, and all that kind of stuff. I don't really want people to send me that kind of crap. Again, it's back to that. We waste so much stuff. It pisses me off. So no, it's I love the idea of gathering information. Like Maria, I like the idea of sitting down and actually talking with people about topics I'm interested in, but don't tell me what I must be focused
Mm-hmm.
on.
I have a WTF moment. That's actually 2. Actually, that one is just annoying, and another is a good segue to the conversation. So this morning I got a text message from somebody that I don't know, and basically saying, "Hello, my name is Alan from Redfish Technology. We have some job offer. Are you still looking for a job?" I don't recall looking for one, and 2, like, what the fuck? Who is this?
Texting you like a recruiter texting you, cold text, texting 8 in the morning.
Text. It's the first cold text I've ever gotten, and I don't know if it's because this is a relatively new number, or I haven't been looking on recruiting websites. I don't know how it works, where my number got funneled in, and it's weird because it's like it's not like a regular text. It's like italicized. It's italicized, which is weird.
Oh, interesting.
It was?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I've never seen that before, so it looked fishy, literally. It looked red fishy. So,
well, because the CR, like those platforms now, you can like send messages right out. Like I know my CRM, you can if you wanted to shoot a text message out of the CRM, you could do it. So it's probably some sort. I don't. So
no, I know. Yeah, no, I'm just.
Chris's face was like, "What?" I don't like if I'm going to text you, I'm just going to do it from my phone so you know it's me. But like, I'm wondering if it's because I've never used it on. I mean, maybe I could test it on you, Chris, and see what it looks like. But
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it came from like a platform that they're using that's more automation or whatever.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I'm good at. I don't mind being a guinea pig on those ones. Definitely. Speaking of inbound stuff, now that I've got my Newspire email, it is amazing how many freaking spam messages I've gotten from that one, even in the last week. For goodness sakes,
Go fix it.
I intend to.
And isn't that annoying that he has to go fix it? Like that's probably an hour or so of your time that could be used efficiently elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the onboarding process. Now I have to go to my inbox and I have to create all the spam, filters, which by the way, I don't even want to talk about my Nucleus inbox. It's a shit show there. I just get like, because I'm the marketing, default. So I get like, I send, HubSpot emails too. And so I get the out of offices. You can imagine how I have to manage that email ecosystem. But another email that I got this morning, which was kind of a WTF moment, 6:24 in the morning. I got it from Scythe. I don't know if you've heard of them. Scythe.
Do we decide if it's a silent? Is it a silent C or a hard C? Do we decide?
Is it? Yeah, it's a hard C. Yeah.
Oh God, isn't that that's an offshoot of God? What's that dickhead's name?
Let's see who they are. Scythe.
If it's who I think it is, it's
Attack, Detect, Respond.
Yeah, who the hell started that one? I want to say
anyway,
because we'll get another cease and desist. There's an individual in our industry who is known for yes, there we go. Thank you very much. Yes, that individual that just got put in the comments. Let's just say that individual and I have crossed swords, as have a number of us in the industry, because of some of the antics with women, and we will leave it at that because we'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay. So then, yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. So, first of all, I don't recall ever opting into their marketing communication. I don't know. Maybe they scanned me at RSA when we did the RSA analysis. But I found this to be a WTF moment because clearly it's the beginning of a nurture stream of content. Right? They're going to start giving me content and downloadable materials in a sequence. This is automated because I know it's automated because my name is there. Dear there. So I've gone from Mr. Danny.
That's better than Mr. Danny, maybe. Well, I don't know. Now you're
fine. Well, I mean, there's context in Mr. Danny. I'm there. Okay, whatever. It's 2024. But what's interesting here is the way it was written. First of all, if I were in your shoes, does not resonate. Now that you recognize the urgent need to protect your sensitive data from sophisticated threats, ready to take action. I think I've recognized that a while ago. Like that's the whole point of my job. I would have taken action well before I've gotten this email. And then they give me a sentence which goes, adversarial emulation is the essential starting point, and Scythe is here to guide you. And then they give me kind of like 3 feature points. And then read the new ebook on adversarial behavioral detection. Download it. Well, let's click download. Actually, is it a form?
Are you being gate kept?
Yes, it's a form. So there are a few issues I see here. One is I didn't opt in for Marcom. 2 is my name is not there. 3, an ebook is not going to help me take action, in my opinion. Chris, please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I'm going to stay silent on this one because most of them are bullshit.
And I'm just like, does an ebook actually like okay, so my question is we can build this email back up, but my ultimate question is if I'm a content marketer and I want to get your attention and I want to help you, is my job redundant or can I actually help you? What will help you from a content perspective? What will educate you and what will get you to do your job better?
If you,
If I'm going to, be tasked to nurture you and maybe that's not the task of nurture. Maybe that's you know,
I mean, if you are, again, I think it depends on your audience. If you are going after practitioners, so if you're going after just simple practitioners in the industry, then education is definitely a big part of the job. It's like giving people information, not gatekeeping information, giving information. If you are going after leadership, for the most part, it's disseminating that information in a way that they can then use it effectively to talk to others in the industry, board of directors, C suites, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's it. I'm going on mute just for a second. Hang on a sec.
okay.
I can
Maria.
chime in too, Danny. So I think and first of all, I'm not going to read a 20 how many pages is that? An ebook is usually like 25 to 35 pages. I'm not reading that if I
No,
have a if I,
it's probably shorter.
20 pages. It's long. It's a long piece of content, anyways,
Yeah.
regardless, right? So it's a longer
Yep.
piece. I'm not going to read that on the first time. I'm not going to read anything that you send me the first time that you're sending me something, regardless of if you opted in or didn't opt in or whatever. I have to email people that never opted in. They've got to opt out. That's still the way that we do a lot of things are done. But
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think content marketing is kind of shifted into there's not a lot of content like to Chris's point, the content like that's educational is super helpful. And if I would be willing to bet if you looked at the metrics for people that gate it, you're not getting CISOs that are reading that crap. You're getting security analysts, you're getting entry level type
Yeah.
folks. That's who kind of tends to consume that stuff. I will repurpose that stuff late stage sales cycle, but it's not because the CISO needs to be educated. It's because the CISO has come to me and he or she has said, I got to go explain this to the board. Here's the things they care about. Can you help me put together something that says that? And I will go score all of our content and put together a tailored presentation from that content, review it with my champion, and make sure it's got everything that they need to go then make a very comprehensive case to the rest of their steering committee, leadership team, whether it's to convince them or to say, they have power to say, this is what I'm doing, but here's why. And so that's kind of how, I don't know, that's my opinion of
Let's add to that one,
that.
actually. Let's add to that. Here's a good example. I mean, let's take Newsbuy for an example as a good way of putting it. Let's just turn and say, okay, you've got to say, what does Newsbuy do? So, okay, let's just take the MSSP side of it. Let's just take the SOC and the NOC side of things. As a practitioner, I want to know that you can cover my tech, my tools, my environment, my systems. You've got the right people in the right places at the right time. You've got the responses, the SLAs, and everything else. I want to know that I can hand that off to you. As a leader, what I'm looking for are the metrics. I'm looking for from a cost saving standpoint, if I don't want to stand up a NOC or a SOC, what am I looking at? Cost of standing one up versus cost of going with a service. I'm also going to want to look at, from a compliance and a regulatory standpoint, how does Newsbuy stand up from that? How do they look after my data? Because then I've got to look at probability and risk metrics, and then I've got to look at longevity. So I'm going to look at the organization itself, and they've been around for 25 years, and There's a big difference between that. The practitioner wants to know the nuts and bolts. As a leadership, I've got 4 or 5 bullet points that are going to go in a slide deck to say, hey, this is why we, from a strategic standpoint, are going to go in this direction. And that's really the breakdown.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
What about the more technical part, right? Like, let's say you have your VM team who needs to get the job done well and efficiently, quickly, and integrated.
Well, I think Carlos hit the nail on the head though here. Like, generic content hurts more than helps. Like, they don't need like if they're looking, all right, I guess from a nurture perspective, if you're selling a software package instead of a service, because there's a difference, right? A software package, put your speeds and feeds on a spec sheet, throw it on the website, call it a day. That's a data sheet. If that's all that's what you're selling, that's what you need from a technical. It does this. Here's the check marks of all the things that it does. Maybe another one that says here's how we compare to the rest of them, and that should be sufficient enough to educate somebody enough to say let's have a demo or whatever. In my opinion, I'm not the buyer. Chris can chime in a second. But I think that from a technical perspective, even if it's a platform, you're not like, once I get somebody on a call as a seller, I'm not sending them anything until I understand what's the pain, who's the pain impacting, how's the pain going upstream in the organization, what's that pain chain look like, how does it impact people above your level, what do they care about? And then from there, I'll understand what technical details do I need to focus. I might not need to go down the rabbit hole of all the feeds and speeds. I might just need to be able to show you that from a VM perspective, my CVE isn't 9,000 lines of gobbledygook. It's it's compressed, and it's able to share with you very easily and quickly what you need to focus on for that round or whatever. Versus, and then it does this and this and this and this and this and this and this. Well, most things do that. Right? VM is not, it's a commodity. There's a bazillion tools out there that do it. There's a bazillion services out there that do it. You need to make sure that you understand what the one thing that they have now or what they don't have now is painful. And then that's all you have to show them. As long as you can show them that and say, we do the rest of everything that you said you need, no problem, then that's it.
Has there been a point? Sorry, Chris, go for it.
No, go for it. There's one thing I want to capture from what Maria said, but if you want to hit your point, then I'll go for it.
No, go for it. I'll go. I have this train of thought listed.
Here's one thing. Maria, you said something about potentially showing, hey, here's how we stack up against the competition. My only challenge on any of that one is no company ever says they come in second. No company says, hey, we're second best, or we're third best, or we're fourth best. Every company is a winner. Every company picks the statistics that makes them shine and kind of like scuffs away everything else that maybe made them second in Gartner's eyes or somebody else's eyes. That's
Oh, did you drop your biscuit in your tea? That's sad.
I have flotsam in my tea.
Let that be the extent of our problems.
No, I agree with you, Chris, but that's where I'm saying a lot of this stuff is commoditized. So from a feeds and speeds, it's all the same. So what's different? Maybe the difference is who's the founders? How long has the business been in business? How long have you been in business? What's your employee turnover rate? If it's a software company, how long has your development team been on staff? What's your average tenure there? So there's different, you're right. Nobody's going to say they come in second place. I'm not going to say that. At most I'll say I'll do exactly what they do. Here's why my company is a little bit different. And that's how I handle it.
That's me. So more and more these days, and I'm one of those ones. I look on your company website, I see that you all look the same, or I see that you have no diversity in there. I'm not buying from you.
Yeah, that is a factor that I've heard before. I want to go back to what you had addressed, Maria. You had said, okay, well, first we're doing the discovery, we're figuring things out, we're addressing any challenges, goals in the initial calls. But at what point do you use content to help accelerate the deal, or at what point does it come necessary for you, if at all?
Okay, can I take one step back from that? And then,
yes.
Okay, so I think there's two pieces. My marketing team is also obviously doing top of the funnel stuff. My threat team is doing top of the funnel stuff, but a lot of what they're doing is more like, hey, there's this threat. It's a threat brief. Hey, just random. Here's a random threat brief. Here, this happened this morning. You guys should know about it. Here's a threat. This blah blah blah. There's threat reports. There's that kind of stuff. That's largely what they're doing from a top of the funnel type of perspective, and they are emailing that stuff to people that maybe haven't opted into newsletter in the past, and it's an opt out. Right, wrong, or indifferent. We still have to do outreach. To me, here's an example. I'm on a call later today. Chris, P.S. I need you to join this. I'll text you later. But it's with a friend of ours, and this is the 5th call I've had with this gentleman. I've never sent him anything besides an email. So I haven't used a piece of content yet. I haven't done anything. The only thing I've done with him that was a visual share anything, everything has been dialogue conversation. The only thing I've showed him so far was I brought in an SME to walk him through a very technical demo of our backend sim. That's it. That's all I've done. Today is the day that we're going to get scoping together. And once I have that, and he knows what the pricing looks like, he knows what the recommended scope of services looks like, we've covered everything else via dialogue, then my next question to him will be, what do you need for this to go get approved? I already know he's got budget. I already know he has CEO approval, but what do you need to package this up so that your CEO can say, this is New Spire, here's why I'm picking them, here's the approach that they took, here's how we know they hit our, our technical capabilities, so on and so forth. Now that's one example where the buyer is like, and I'm going to tell him about this later, but like I got off my first phone call with him and I did this. I was like, that was so intense because he's very technical. He has looked at every single one of my competitors and previous positions, so on and so forth. So like he was very aggressive with his question asking, which was good. And another example where you need to be technical enough as a salesperson on the first call to not, bite the bullet. But there's other folks where on the first call, they say something like, I'm looking, this is the problem, this is the thing, da 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 da. And over the course of my job as a salesperson initially is to address the pain points. So whatever pain point that you just shared with me, because if you're not going to share me a pain point, I largely probably am not going to waste a lot of time with you because I don't know what are we talking about. Like you can go look all this stuff up on the internet. You don't need me to have a dialogue with you to figure out what we do anymore. That's silly. And that's where marketing content comes in helpful. Go look, go download the PDFs, go download all the stuff, do what you need to do there. But when you're in the sales funnel, I'm not sending a single darn thing to you unless it's to overcome an objection that you shared with me, unless it's to address a very specific pain point that you shared with me. And I need to show you in proof and writing and workflow and diagram and whatever and screenshot that this is how we address that. But anything that I send is in a direct correlation to a statement or a word that this person said. And it's not just random. I very rarely will even send in an active sales cycle. I'm not just going to send prospects like, hey, here's a webinar, join it. Like, unless it's a webinar that's super, super like relevant to whatever. Like we have one coming up on MDR, getting through the gobbledygook of what the acronym means, right? I have a prospect right now that's pissed. They've gone through a bunch of my competitors. They're very larger, and this is a smaller company, and they've probably picked too big of organizations to help them. And so this one, he's mentioned a few things to me about MDR and what are these acronyms and what do they actually mean? And I just say, I don't even say those acronyms. I just say outcomes. This webinar might actually be relevant to you. And PS, this person's hosting it. You've met him now 6 times. You like him. You trust him. Maybe this is a good one for you to attend. But other than that, I'm not sending stuff like that blindly just to give you content and stay in front of you. That's not my job. My job is to support you through your buying process. If it's not relevant to you, I'm not sending it to you. And if I don't have what I need to address your issue, I'm going to go get it quick from marketing, from the solutions people, from the technical folks, whatever I need, I'm going to get it. And that's the other thing I think that's important for the marketing team to understand is if we're coming to you and asking you for something super specific, I don't have 4 weeks for you to go make it. I don't need it to be pretty. I don't need to follow the brand lines. I just need language, and I need it like in 24 hours, because the minute that you start losing velocity in your sales communication in that pipeline, you're losing their trust. You're losing their trust because you said you were going to be able to get them something. If it takes you 3 weeks to come up with it, then it just feels like you're making it up out of thin air. Does that make sense?
100%. Hot take. Hot take. That's going to be the snippet.
Hot take.
Chris, did you want to add on to that?
No, I think Maria's right. I mean, it's, there's the age-old adage of strike while the iron is hot. And it's very, very, there we go. Time kills all deals. Yeah, exactly. From April's standpoint, that's very, very true.
Can you recall a time, Chris, when you had an objection and, a particular representative has come back with like spot on information or content? Let's just kind of.
Absolutely. I mean, heck, not even an objection. I mean, there was, I do my due diligence, and I mean, even when Maria and I were talking in the early days, I was, one of my crew was digging around looking at the organization and I had some questions. And so I shot them over, and I'd have to go back in the emails, but like within hours, if not within 24 hours, I got a note back saying, "Yep, we recognize it. We actually understand it. We know about this, and would love to jump on a call with the relevant folks on our end to just tell you what the heck's going on."
I think I was like, yep, I know who that is. I know what that means. I'm not addressing it. It's not my place, but my CEO will. When are you available?
Yeah, I mean, and it was fantastic. I mean, that came back quickly, simply, eloquently. And I think what I liked about it, and I've had the opposite. I've had it where it's just gone down a rabbit hole, or there's been denial, or there's been, because to me, I mean, nobody's perfect. And for me, it's one of those things as I look at a vendor or a supplier and go, hey, talk to me about this. If they're willing to address it and they're willing to actually say, yeah, you know what, we had issues, or we didn't get it right, or hey, we learned from this experience, whatever it might be. I got a huge amount of respect for that. But when they go, when they start throwing blame around, or when something happens, or when it's denied, or when they blame a report or whatever they get, is at that point I lose respect.
Yeah. I want to also shift the conversation to talk about top of funnel content, because Maria, you said that your team does top of funnel content. I do top of funnel content, but Chris, I want to know, and I'm not going to say what top of funnel content is, but the more kind of like, I wouldn't say general information or generic content, but what resonates with you? What helps you in terms of topics of interest? You mentioned, topics around risk and reporting and ROI and that kind of stuff. But like, let's put the kind of technical hat on right now in terms of particular use cases or domains.
I mean, let's have that conversation. I mean, for me, there's probably a couple of things, and I think this is very true of most leadership at the moment. We still struggle to understand the scope of our environments. And that's everything from the physical side of the world, in other words, what the people are doing, to the digital side of the world, what all of our digital assets are doing, let alone where all of our digital assets are. So, I always relate this to, perfect example on this one. Let's break it down even simpler. You take a look at the statistics that say mean time to detection. In other words, how long does it take you to find out that somebody's in your environment? And unfortunately, those numbers can be pretty large. So if you take this to the human world, a 6'3" large hairy thing with a multicolored beard is walking around your house for several months before you know that they are there. I'm peeing the potted plants, I'm eating the snacks, I'm drinking the tea, I'm leaving the dishwasher stacked, I'm leaving the toilet seat up, I'm doing all of these things, and yet it still takes you several months to figure out I'm there. Then you get mean time to recovery, which is once you figured out I'm in your house, how long does it take you to get rid of me and recover? And again, if I bring this back into the real world, it's weeks, if not months. So again, my 6'3" hairy ass, you don't get rid of me with a cattle prod. You start legal proceedings. You do all this other. No, fuck that. Get rid of me with a cattle prod, and then only maids spend a week cleaning up. I mean, it's that. I think is probably when you start taking a look at it in the real world, it's ridiculous. And so you take this digital idea of it takes 100 days to find out that somebody's creeping around your environment. That sucks. So now I start looking at assets. This is one of the biggest ones. If I don't know what I've got, how the heck do I protect it? If I don't know who is on the system, how do I know that they are there or that they should be there? And then if I'm onboarding and offboarding, so now I look at identity. So one of the biggest issues that we still have is knowing that the right hands are on the right keyboard at the right time. So from a tech stack standpoint, it's the visibility, it's the awareness, it's the understanding. Those are really the big ones. And then to chuck a crystal ball out a year or two and go, okay, where are we going? Because you form a relationship with an organization. If I go buy something from a vendor or a supplier, I don't want to have to go back in 12 months' time and reevaluate it. I want that to be a 2, 3, 4, 5-year relationship, because it takes time and effort to bring a vendor on and go through the legal proceedings and all the other shit that goes with it. So I want to know where that organization is going to be in the next 2 to 5 years. I want to know what their research and development is like. I want to know whether they are going to shift and how, and is it going to affect me? So you can get into the nuts, and I have no problem getting into the nuts and bolts on that side of things in any way, shape, or form, because then I want to see if it aligns with what we're doing, or if there's a divergence, and if there is, this is something we're happy with.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some things for folks to think about.
We have some good questions here. One from Brandon. Shout out to Brandon, by the way, who just launched his new content agency for security. So super thrilled to
Cool.
give him a shout out there. And if anybody's interested, take a look at his stuff. Brandon asks, what are your trusted sources of information, content? Like, where do you go to digest the good stuff?
I'm all over the map on that one. I'm like, the dark readings, some of the podcasts, LinkedIn. To give LinkedIn some credit, there's actually some decent stuff on LinkedIn itself. My opening page is BBC. Let's face it. I'm building with Anixia, so we're building with Anixia. We're building that portal for me to have a digital version of the BBC, basically, so I can wake up in the morning, go see what I've done, see what the top stuff in our industry is, and go, okay. There's a lot of other stuff. I will hit the Gartners and the Forresters of this world to see what's going on with those ones. I mean, Gartner hit me up again the other day about joining in with some of their meetings and stuff like that. So I will look to that stuff. I actually probably one of the best ones. And this is giving a shout out to like Will Lynn, Alberto Yepes, and a bunch of the other crews over at ForgePoint. ForgePoint, I get a bunch of stuff from ForgePoint, and I'm fortunate I get invited to their meetings a couple of times a year. And it's really nice to be able to sit down and go, where are we? Where are we going? What trends are happening in the industry? What are my peers doing? And then the Tinkerers group, obviously, is a good one for seeing what's trending and what isn't. So there you go.
You mentioned podcasts, and I know when I talk to buyers, they say, "Oh yeah, I digest podcasts because I could just put it on in the background while I'm doing my work and listen. Yeah. I don't have to, take the time to lean in and read. It's playing there." So, what kind of podcasts are you listening to? I mean, obviously WTF.
I hope so. Ironically, I never replay these. I hate listening to myself. I will never. Like, I've done TV stuff and a few other things, and I've never watched any of the stuff I've done. I kind of cringe at it. There's some good ones out there. I mean, Paul Asadorian and the crew have put on some amazing ones. Jeff Mann's put on some amazing ones. Bear,
Security Weekly,
the Brass Knuckles crew. There's a drinking one. There's the beers and something as well. I mean, there's some. I actually, what I need to do? I need to do a LinkedIn post with like the podcasts that I keep an eye on. I will actually.
Please.
Yeah, I'll do that because there's some great ones. Joanna Udu runs one as well, which is an absolutely fantastic. It's what I think it's women in cybersecurity. I think that's actually. I think she's even brought it down a little further than that. So there's some good ones out there. For me, it's all about. I look to see what people are thinking about. I'm really not chasing the technology. I'm looking for thought leadership. I'm looking for other people to give me ideas I haven't come up with, and to give me ideas on how to approach things differently. Whether it's approaching board differently, whether it's approaching 2025 differently, whether it's approaching awareness training differently. Gabrielle over at Wiser does some amazing stuff. So there's all these different things.
By the way, I don't know if you took a look. This is also a shout out to Ben Siegel over at the Cyber Nest. He's actually been curating. Actually, the community of security practitioners have been uploading content, and they've been rating the content amongst themselves and giving annotations, notes, peer vetted content for the security practitioner across all different kinds of use cases. So take a look at that for you. I'll send you the link. Yeah. It's really, really cool.
That sounds like an interesting one.
It is really cool. I just looked at it. Carlos had introduced me to that group the other day for something with the Mind Over Cyber stuff. So it is really cool.
Another one for content. Alan Alford stuff for content is another one. The Cyber Ranch is another one. I mean, and then you go down to that general neck of the woods, and then we start looking at CISO, the CISO XC stuff. That gathering is fantastic for just really good conversations as to what's going on. And then from a practitioner's standpoint, you can't do much better than turning up to one of the local B-sides. You really can't do much better. It's like everybody's like, well, I don't want to go to Black Hat or RSA. Well, then go to a freaking B-sides. That's what they're there for. Or an OWASP or an OSAC or something like that.
Well, what do you what are the particular characteristics of those events, and put on the content hat, right? And the context of the content. What resonates and what stands out versus other kinds of, and I don't want to talk about the event experience, but the actual content itself. Like, how is it moving the needle more so than others? Or why is it?
I think again, it comes down to thought leadership. I don't need to know how to exploit the next latest and greatest, injection into an environment or reverse engineering something. I really, I don't care about some of the research on some of the adversarial groups. At the end of the day, everything can be broken, and there are bastards out there breaking everything. So, you know, great. We've established a baseline. Now, what do we do about it? And for me, I think I look for people who are able to articulate things in an informative way. I sure as heck don't want, and I think this is why I love the B-sides and like Gurkon or some of the other ones, is, if you stand up on stage and you try to say my product's better than somebody else's product, you basically do a product pitch on stage, you're going to end up with a bunch of rotten tomatoes in your face, as you should do. But if you stand up and go, hey, I got some cool ideas and I got some cool ways of putting it, and let's take you on a story. Let's bend your mind for a minute and make you think outside of your comfort zone. That I love. And this is another shout out to mental health hackers. Is I think that's the other big part of it is as well. Is again, we're still focused on the people and everything else, and yet we've kind of lost sight of looking after ourselves. So I tend to look. So I think it's a tough one because I'm very, very particular. I don't sit in many talks. Most of them are death by PowerPoint, and I have no time for that. Most of them are regurgitating content. Many of them are saying the same thing. And for me, I want something that's going to challenge me. I want something that is going to actually make me think. I love things that make me think in a different way. And so for me, I look for uniqueness. Maybe that's a good way of putting it. I look for uniqueness. I look for people that actually put themselves out there.
Yeah. I think the key here is differences of opinions too.
Yes.
Human forward experiences versus just behind the screen written. Like you want to hear the experiences, anecdotes, opinions that could give you that different, fresh perspective.
Or storytelling, like you can it can be a concept that is like, okay, whatever, like it's a standard topic, right? But then you put 4 people up there and say, how is this, what have you experienced with this, or tell me a good thing about this, tell me a bad thing about this, tell me what's stupid about talking about this in general and what you would do differently. And then that even resonates even a little bit better, because the art of storytelling is really quite powerful, and it's kind of a feel felt found situation.
Which is why I think the podcasts as a medium, like video and audio, is so powerful, because one, it's more human. You hear the stories, it's more vulnerable. You get opinion in there, right? And so that's why I think from a content perspective, and programmatic perspective, why I think those work really well.
I think it depends. I think it depends though. Like, okay, I'm on calls literally most days from 9 till 5 or 6 o'clock. I can't listen to podcasts all day. Like, I get mad at you guys when you're like, I listen to great podcasts. I'm like, oh my God, how many podcasts do people listen to? I do not have time for that. Like, unless I'm on a treadmill, on a walk, or like I can, and I'm also not somebody that can be working and listen to a podcast. It just goes in one ear, out the other. I really need to like listen to it. So like car time is good for me sometimes. Walking, exercising is good for me, unless I want to diet and I need some hype music. But for like, but I'm also thinking of like my peers in the SOC. They don't have time to listen to podcasts all day because they're on calls and triaging events and doing that kind of stuff. And so like for me, something that my leader does that I find to be super helpful is every week he scores and sends out, now, not that I'm not doing this on my own, but he will send out, the top 20 newsworthy things that happened in our industry that maybe impact your conversations, right? So that it's all curated, it's right there for me, and I can just kind of scroll through. And I find that to be super helpful. I'm part of a call on Wednesday evenings with Jeff, where they share they just randomly pick people out in the crowd, and there's like a bunch of people on this call, and it's like, hey, what's something that you saw in the news today? So it forces you to stay on your toes. But I'm better off reading really quick and absorbing it that way. That takes a lot less time than 45 minutes listening to something. So I think you got to be tight on all of your channels, because while Chris maybe doesn't have to be on calls all day as a CISO, guess what? His staff sure does. So maybe they can't listen to podcasts all day. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
So the only thing I will say, and this is, Brad and there's a bunch of the other crew that I had that actually, we got 2 or 3 screens running, and one of them typically has something running on it, podcast wise, YouTube wise, or something like that. So I can do that if I'm not writing. I can listen to a podcast if I'm not writing and be working on other things. Like I'll have email running and other things running. I can do that. What I can't do is be writing content and listening to spoken word. I have to listen to music when I'm doing that. Otherwise, it all goes to hell in a handbasket. So I think it's for me, I'll have something up and running every now and again if I'm working on something or if I'm trying to investigate something. It's kind of useful. And I think you're right. Most of the content goes in and out, but every now and again you're like, huh? Rewind. Ooh. Yeah.
I also can't listen to music with words when I'm writing, because then I start typing the lyrics. It's really silly. Like
Harry Potter playlist. Ambiance music in the background. That's all I play all day.
I have a lot of classical music is what I listen to.
Thomas Ferguson, Audio Machine. I mean, there are some fantastic ones out there. Most of Hans Zimmer's stuff, Ferguson stuff. I have an entire set of playlists that are all audio stuff only for that exact reason.
I've gotten into chill step in the last month, and I'll send you. It's super vibey.
So Chris has a lot of emotional. You have a couple of it's like I feel like it's Zelda or something like that, like the music. Okay, but I remember when Evie and I were with you one time, and we were in your car, and so in Sing 2, there's this part where this one character doesn't know how to say sci-fi; she says sky-fi. I don't know if you remember this, but I was cracking up. She was like, "Chris, you like a lot of sci-fi music." I was like, it made me laugh. I don't know why. I just thought, but I did. I just thought.
No, totally. I mean, I'm looking through my Playboy, and it's like Hans Zimmer, Defcon Audio, 2 Steps from Hell, Audio Machine, Brand X Music.
Oh man.
I mean, a lot of this stuff is all Within Temptation, Katy Perry, Kerry Music.
Oh yeah, Katy Perry.
I do some of that stuff.
Danny loves Katy Perry.
Thomas Ferguson stuff, Within Temptation, Wall of Noise. All of that stuff is for the most part just audio. There's no spoken word in it, and they're very, very deliberate for exactly the same reasons.
Yeah. Okay, we have a great question here, which actually it's funny that Lynn has asked this, because I do want to touch on websites at some point. But Lynn has asked, how much is website content a factor in a CISO's consideration of any solution? What prompts you to put in that review effort? So we're talking web pages, the copy, the solution and product pages.
I think that's a tough one, because if I am focused on something, so a perfect example is starting to do some digging on DevSecOps stuff again. So going back to look at easy ways, simple ways to affect change in the DevSecOps lifecycle. Did a fantastic talk a couple of mornings ago with JFrog.
So early.
And we were, you don't even go there. I didn't even sleep. So it was like, but it was a really good conversation about how to deal with developers developing code, hits information security at the end, and we say no because we want you need to be involved at the beginning. So how do we get involved early in the life cycle, all that stuff? You start taking a look at like a DevSecOps lifecycle management. You start taking a look at containerization and all the companies out there. At that point, when I'm focused on something, so back to my stuff, let's go back, right hands, right keyboards, right place. If somebody said, hey, there's this really cool company out here that's doing, biometrics and whatever they're doing, I'll go take a look at it and I'll read through it. I typically won't open white papers. I typically won't do certain things. I'm sure as hell not going to register with the bloody things either. So I think it comes down to, I want enough content on there to know that they're capable and that they're able. I really don't care if they're in the Gartner Magic Quadrant or not. I don't give a shit about that. I don't care about the Forrester Magic Quadrant, any of that kind of stuff. I care to see, again, that thought leadership side of it. I also want to look at the About Us, because I'll go right back to that one. If I look at the About Us and it's 6 old white guys who are leading the company, then the chance of me doing business with you are pretty freaking minimal. Or I'm going to be sending a really nasty message when you try and reach out to me and go change your change your DEI requirements.
I think.
How do you go about landing on that website, though?
Research. Or somebody in my peer group tells me about it. Somebody in my
and then
peer group,
you type in the brand name.
I'll go look for it and I'll go take a wander around it. Yeah. I mean, the perfect example was the Cybernest one. I mean, I've literally got this up here. I got the Cybernest up here. Now, unfortunately, there's about 6 other companies called Cybernest, so I had to find the right one first. There's one over in India. There's one doing data center moves. There's 2 others doing other things. There's a couple other buggers that are out there doing pen testing and assessments. So the Cybernest needs to probably figure out how to get the Cybernest at the top of the thing. But yeah. So, I mean, that's it. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the ecosystem. The why join, who are the community. It's nice. It's high level. It's got some good people on here. It's talking about how to deal with things. It's actually a very simple, easily scrollable, well laid out, fucking pop-ups throwing you that kind of stupid shit.
That's what you want, though, right? So, like, I know we've talked about this, Chris. I've talked about this with a ton of other buyers. Like when you get on my web, and we have tools that say, "Oh, so and so was on your website." Well, I know who it was because I just got off the freaking phone call with you, right? So when you exactly. I mean, but I will be honest about that. I'm super honest. Like, hey, I saw you were on my website. We have tools, guys, that'll tell you when you open my email, and if it's got a service order in it, I will call you immediately and be like, "What you looking at? Tell me," Like, but be honest about it. It's fine. Oh, yeah. I see you're on it. Do you have questions? Do you need anything? I'm watching you. And that's okay to do. People know that stuff exists. But like when I just know from feedback, if the website isn't like, if somebody goes on a website and it doesn't say very clearly what the hell they do, like it has to say, this is what they do. This is what they solve. This is the outcome they drive. That's all it needs. You don't need 47 drop downs with 67 different sub options with 37 other things. Because guess what? No one goes to that shit ever. Right. Like very rarely am I going to get a buyer that I'm in mid conversation with go to our website and download a blog or look at a white paper. It's so rare does that happen. They go down the website and it says they visited the main page. That's it. Yes. That's what they're looking at, the main page.
And that, I mean, again, I'm sitting on Cybernests. It is, I'm not even sure if they've got a whole bunch of sub pages. It's one page. Back to this. So RSA, Black Hat, all of these things, any of the conferences, I think you got 15 seconds. I'll give you maybe 30 seconds at a push, but you got 15 seconds. If I'm looking at the site and I get put off by it, like in those first 10, 15 seconds, I'm not going to bother looking at the damn thing again. I don't want to have to go digging for content. I don't want to have to go finding out the capabilities. I want my cake and I want to be able to eat it. I want to be very, very quick, very easy, laid out, and then I'm willing to invest more time to do some digging.
You were generous on the 10, 15 seconds. I think statistically, it's like 5 to 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Rate. Based off of the numbers that we're seeing on benchmarks.
And I think
no.
All right. So
Yeah, this is great feedback for
I mean,
the
I'm sitting on
cybernetics.
NewSpy's website. The only thing that's I'm growling at the moment is I've got no way of getting rid of this. Oh, there it
I
is.
know. Go talk to Francie. It drives me nuts too.
There's that little pop up that comes
It's
up.
annoying. I know. And it's like
But I mean,
super. It's super persistent too. But it's this is.
Yeah, I know. I remember. The NewSpy difference by numbers. That's easy. Latest resources highlights are there for people. Proactive protection and readiness stuff. It's you scroll through it and most of it's there and fairly easy to find. There's a bunch of headings at the top, but I want to actually let's look at read the report. I want to see if it lets me read the report.
Which one?
I'm sitting on NewSpy's site and it just
which section?
Download the Frost report. Okay, I don't want to download it. Give me the report.
This is why you're here to advise, sir. Advise
But
away.
some of this is actually all here. So I'm actually looking at the Q4 and full year 23 cyber report. This is all here. It's all almost the whole thing. Download the full report. I've got enough on here that I could actually probably just use the bloody content fairly easily. Malware, botnet, exploits, ransomware, Splunk-like methodologies in review. So I'll give it credit. There's a bunch of content right up front that says, okay, hey, this isn't bad at all. Get the guide. Yeah, some of it's download the resource. Yeah, some of it's gated, some of it's there. And there's conversation. Well, heck, we had some of those conversations in Detroit. But it's an easy site to read through and very quickly see what's going on, and it keeps your eyes busy because it goes left and right, and there's, I think there's, So it's, but there's some stuff you've got to dig, and I have no time to dig on any of that stuff.
Yeah. I've been making a conscious effort to bring content up and then link to anything that might be relevant with regards to a particular topic that is also ungated. So if you want to dig in deeper, you can go do that if you want. You don't have to because it's already there. But if you want to go deeper, here it is, ungated. Bless your heart. Go do what you need to do to be successful. We
beat up on Scythe, and I'm going to beat up on them again because I'm sitting here looking at their website, and the first page is a generic shot of like somebody's landscape in the background, DC or something by the looks of it. And then you get the investors. Like the very next line is literally investors. So I don't even, that concerns me. Then there's BAS Plus for the next generation cyber defender. I thought BAS Plus was something that you got on a cassette tape. I remember with cassette tapes. How many of us remember cassette tapes and the Walkmans? I thought BAS Plus was actually something you got on a cassette tape. So
I don't know what BAS Plus was, but I got a Walkman for my 10th birthday, and my first tape was Ace of Base.
Oh, yes.
I thought I was so cool at the swim club. I was like checking out the lifeguard and like singing out loud with my headphones on at the age of 10. So bad. Yep, that's what I did.
I glanced Lily one. Oh, BASF. Yeah, I was close. I'm going BASF Plus. Challenges we solve about the company, videos, things you can't live with. Core, discover, inspect, elevate, empower. Cloppy AI. Apparently, I can't live without Cloppy AI.
Oh my gosh!
The fuck is
why? Of all the names.
Now they've got a whole bunch of testimonials on their companies. Oh, this is really fucking Ron Gula. Get the fuck out of here on this one. Really, you put him up on the website? We need to have that. Certifications and awards. And I'm looking at a whole bunch of these ones. Winner of the best cyber defense. These are the pay-to-play awards.
Yeah.
Recent resources. There's a fucking hoodie on there with a fucking hacker hoodie. Bye-bye. So yeah, there's a contrasting set of conversations. Maybe a little biased, but I'll take the hit on that.
Super insightful. I would love like a deep session on breakdown website, but this is fun. This is the most fun part: website breakdowns and build ups. So if anybody wants to get their website audited,
can we do it live on stage? Can we do it live?
Yep.
I love that idea.
Yep, hit us up. I'd love to get your input on Nucleus Security's site because we want to improve the website. So I will be a happy participant. But anybody else who wants an audit, hit us up. We will bring you on and we'll do it live and we'll give you the feedback.
Fucking assholes. There's a particular
Tell me
site
how
on
you
there,
really feel.
Antarctic bunny rabbits. So you can reverse engineer
Mhm.
that one. I kid you not. I open the website up. On the left-hand side, it tells me how to end cyber risk. And on the right-hand side, fill out the form to set up a demo of our industry-leading solutions.
Ooh,
You assholes.
fun.
Oh, there's
Okay.
Oh my.
unrivaled trust with a whole bunch of pay-for-play awards. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing on here that's of any fucking use without having to dig. So, up yours, Antarctic bunny rabbits. Sorry.
I I
Uh,
I think next week's gonna be a good one because we have some, willing participants that are wanting to come on and do this. So I'm gonna reach out to you all, and we'll set it up, and we can go through the website teardowns and prescriptive buildups based off of, um, particular factors that are good for website optimization. This is my bread and butter, everyone. We are over time, but I want to keep a couple of minutes open for any imparting thoughts, Maria and Chris.
Maria, go for it.
Valentine's Day, WTF. Yes. Okay. Next week, I know that we have somebody that's going to join from the BDR side of things. So I think it would be helpful to hear from a content perspective because what a salesperson uses and what a BDR person uses, Danny, are totally two different things.
Yeah.
So I think that would
100%.
be a good thing to talk about. So we're excited for that guest to join. Other than that, happy WTF Wednesday, everybody. I'd say the F word,
Yeah.
but my daughter's sitting back there sick with the door open, so no swearing for me.
Oh my gosh. Are we doing a Valentine's Day one? We do. We have. Oh, I might be on an airplane coming back from Canada land.
Aw. Well,
We'll
we'll
tell
figure it
George we
out.
said hello. Give him a hug for us.
I'll give
Oh
them
yeah,
a
is it the CyberX thingy?
CyberX thing
Yeah.
up in Canada land. Yeah, so I might be on an airplane heading back from Canada land, so I might miss this one, I'm afraid, next week's. Darn it. All right. No, I wonder if we can do it later.
Well,
Earlier.
we'll have a BDR on and talk.
All right. Enjoy, have fun. Don't roast them too badly. All right. Imparting thoughts. Be concise. I mean, seriously, stop waffling and stop gating content, please.
Amazing. All of that. Be happy, everybody. That's my my last words for today. Thank you all for joining. Yeah, have a beautiful day. Happy WTF Wednesday, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Take care, everybody.